That was the beginning, which was so intense, roughly over 3 years. And I must say, I was simply lucky that so many different things came together. First of all, there were my studies. If you studied in Münster, then you were quite free. It was almost at the end of my studies when I was writing my final paper and did not need to attend tutorials anymore in order to get points. Life was that little bit easier, as was my going to Schoenstatt. Sometimes we students were just there for Holy Mass. Sometimes we were more people and could borrow a car and go to listen to the homilies on the Mount. Very often we had the chance to see, hear, or even speak to Father Kentenich. Sometimes we would ask for an appointment beforehand, and sometimes this worked, but not always. Our studies, however, gave us an advantage. Father was very interested in our studies, as everything was so new. For me, Father Kentenich had had a talent to absorb things. He did not have time to study. At the time, I once told him that I was so disappointed, having seen photographs from Milwaukee, the heretical student that I was, that he should have such ancient books on his bookshelves, really old books, and here we were talking about Schoenstatt for the new times. Father just laughed out loud, and replied that he had never noticed. On another occasion, I brought him an article on women or the layperson in the church. He laughed and pointed out that someone else had brought the same magazine with the same article in it to him already. In this way, he absorbed what was new, what was going on in the world and church from others, from their discussions and from their reports. He relied very much on others to tell him about the new trends. At that time, I was participating in a tutorial about marriage and told him that aspects of loyalty were now clearer to me in connection with our form of attachment. He was very interested in this and took time to listen. And then he once said, I should come more often, as he relied on such news, but should not mix up my personal questions with this information. I should write down the one or other point, write down the facts. I then took a writing pad and at the top would write bits and pieces. This would then contain points from my tutorials, lectures, from something I had read or heard, things that had to do with theology or the church, and I noticed just how much interest this awakened in Father Kentenich, as he often asked questions about what I had written. We never really spoke about the points, but he took everything in which could be heard in his talks. This was his specific way of staying on top with the trends of the time.
Wie aktuelle Fragen im Grunde ganz griffig oft kriegte. Die waren zum Teil schon gefiltert. Darüber haben wir nie geredet, ne? Aber sachlich jetzt. Aber er nahm es auf und verarbeitete das dann. Das merkte man, wenn Vorträge und so weiter waren. So eine Schiene bei ihm, die, glaube ich, sehr ausgeprägt ist, dass er über Menschen dann im Grunde sich auf dem Laufenden hielt.